the other side of my actor brain was going, I don't know if I'm ever going to live this down. Am I going to work again? Is anybody going to take me seriously?
Zoe?
I got nothing. But it's definitely Tracy.
You know this guy?
Is this a warning of some kind?
Listen, Mal, you gotta get this thing out of my station. No. Human transport on a postal route is very, very illegal. If anyone even knows I took a corpse in, I'll lose my franchise.
The cast of Firefly has continued to have a thread. We have our own little text message thread, and we're all on it. It's been quite glorious to know that that Joss wasn't wrong. Joss Whedon put a great team together, not just behind the scenes, but also in front of the camera, because we really are each other's friends and allies and cheerleaders. And that, for me, has been, from day one, the greatest gift, to want to come to work and spend time with my peers and co-stars.
Backup reaches 20%. Can you get us down?
I'm gonna have to glide her in.
Will that work?
I've made so many pilots that actually never see the light of day. And so it's rare that we go to series. Unfortunately, it's not so rare that a series doesn't get picked up, and usually that's the end of it. And we really thought that's the end of it. I mean, we'll take away what we need, who we want from the process, and all of and incredible memories, but that's it. The fact that Joss didn't rest until he was able to tell the story that he wanted to tell and end it the way he wanted to end it, and was so dogged in his pursuit to do that. He assembles us all for dinner, and we just thought we were just going to have a cast dinner and reminisce and say, hey, what's going on? What are we doing? And no, he said, we're doing it. We're going to fly again. And it was just this feeling of complete and utter disbelief, because that never happens. Successful television shows get reboots, get movie of the weeks. not a feature, certainly not a feature film. So that that was crazy and fantastic.
One,
Hercules and Xena came along at a perfect time, and it was one of those moments where there was a lot going on in my life, in my personal life. Didn't have a whole lot of money because it was fairly in the beginning of my career. Travel is something that I love to do, and so the opportunity to get on a plane and go halfway around the world to this beautiful country, New Zealand, because we shot in New Zealand, and to explore that culture. She was a pirate. It wasn't revealed until that she was a pirate queen until a couple of seasons later. But to play this complete bad character in this universe, in this world that had been set up just sort of in this very kitsch kind of way, not to mention, sidebar, like, I was a huge mythology freak anyway. I kind of had like this Shakespearean take on it because it was so bigger than life, that you sort of had to fill in the blanks and just swing for the fences while you were doing that. And so that is so incredibly freeing as well. But when I got the call that I got cast to be Nebula, they were also writing a script on Xena for Cleopatra.
The local regent has offered to try Jet here in Miramis. Well, that is with your permission.
I owe you my life. That's not something I soon forget. Though I don't understand why the assassin can't be executed here.
And so the producers, which is the same producers, just felt, oh, well, she's going to be in town. She may as well do both. So they got a twofer. So I actually ended up doing both of those episodes. Like I finished one week, and then I rolled into my recurring role as Nebula in Hercules. As an actor, I did two things. It required all of myself to make sure that the audience believed that we were in it, that we were involved, that we were these freedom fighters in rubber hot pants, and absolutely, we were saving the world. And the other side of my actor brain was going, I don't know if I'm ever going to live this down. Am I going to work again? Is anybody going to take me seriously? Victoria Pratt and I would laugh about this. While we were doing that show, Galaxy Quest was in theaters, and we'd all seen it. And I, remember I just said that Hercules had sort of this, like a Shakespearean quality to it. And everybody there, quite frankly, that I was working with, for the most part, had a vast theater experience. A lot of the New Zealand actors that we were working with had this vast theater experience, as had I. I had done theater exclusively in New York City for 10, 11 years prior to all of this television nonsense. So I go from that to this. And Victoria Pratt would tease me that I was the, God rest his soul, Alan Rickman of the show. That I would often sort of stand there in my, my silver corset and rubber hot pants and just think, how did this happen? Exactly. I'm a serious actress. A show like that for someone like myself really requires distance and perspective. I loved it and I hated it at the same time. I loved it because, not unlike Hercules, it was just fun. It was fun. I got to express and use my athleticism. I love the people that I was working with. I loved being in Auckland, New Zealand. Everyone was so lovely and so sweet.
Where's my sister?
Wait 5 minutes after my exit. Then go to the 4th floor of the parking structure across the street. Or my friends will blow a hole in your heart.
Get your hands off me.
It was nice getting to know your sister.
When I got the opportunity to audition for that part, she was written Russian. Everything that character was encompassed in this particular shell. Maybe not what somebody was expecting a Russian spy to look like. And so when I went in, they all agreed, but they also thought, well, we need to change this character. We need to change we need to change her ethnicity. And I said, wait. Hold up. Not necessary. And I just sort of told them exactly what I told you, and they went for it. So that for me, if in terms of anything that could be put towards a legacy that I may be creating, to have that character be that particular mix of ethnicities, and she just twisted and crazy and just a lot of fun, was for me just a little sort of feather in my hat. Like, I won that one. Like that's a fight that I went in and I won. Other than that, yeah, it's great to play the villain. It's great to be Catwoman. That's probably the closest I will ever get to being Catwoman. I just relished every moment of it, and creating that relationship with Jennifer Garner, who was so much fun and so great and just game. The first episode was so comprehensively generous in terms of setting up this character and setting up this relationship and what the stakes were. It was so that you were just, as the audience was just getting to know how deep this rabbit hole can go, and to have almost this supervillain counteract, America's sweetheart. And in the way that happened was so organic. Like that kiss on the window, that wasn't improv. That wasn't planned. That wasn't scripted. I just said, hey.
I just started thinking about what it would be like if you weren't here, and I guess I kind of lost it.
I'm not going anywhere, Fred. You can trust in that.
Angel was fun. Doing Angel was really my wanting to create somebody that was the polar opposite of Zoe, who was in the Whedonverse, right? So there was this attachment, this love for Zoe, good guy, on your side, fighting for the right, do anything for her captain and her husband and her crew. And then you have Jasmine, and it's all about Jasmine. You're gonna bend a knee, and you're gonna like it. And that's what's Jasmine in a nutshell. And that might be the last thing you remember, but you're gonna like it. I was so completely convinced that she didn't break a sweat. She was the embodiment of just that seductive spider, really long lashes, who spun the prettiest web. Just leaning into that. The more I leaned into that, the deeper my voice got, the slower I spoke. I just wanted the audience to feel exactly what this woman was meant to be. The world is just warm honey and love, and I'm here for it. That's it.
Harvey, I don't think you understand what's going on here. We're filling up these offices with subletters to make it look like we're still alive. But if we don't land a new client and show the world that we're back, then we may as well let them have the space for good.
Then let me land someone else.
Well, then it better be someone huge, and you better do it in the next 48 hours, because that's when I set our next appointment with Sutter. And when we get there, we're signing him as a client.
Suits was the very first show that I was a series regular on that had a life. And this was after 20 some odd years of being in the industry. There's an actor's life for you. I was thrilled that I'm working. There's certain things I don't have to worry about anymore, at least until my contract ends. Character in and of itself was originally written as a man, for a man, and then that got retooled. They hired me, and got retooled even more. And so I would say the combination of what I brought to the table, now being a woman at that time in her 40s, who had been doing the thing that she loves most for over 20 years, informed very much this character. And it also informed the fact that never too late to learn, but I know what I'm doing. And there's such an important lesson in that, I think, for all women, is to, what I loved about playing Jessica is she was so unapologetic. She was unapologetic for her age. She was unapologetic for her wisdom, her experience. She was completely unapologetic for her success. And why should she be? And she was unapologetic for her sex and her sexuality, and exploring it and putting it forward, but not using it. It was just her. She was fully in her body at all times. And that is the biggest takeaway from playing that character. And I think it made her scary to some people. It made her aspirational to other people, sometimes both. To many people, which I quite enjoy. And of course there were the outfits and all the rest of it. But we all came to play.
This isn't gonna work.
Oh, come on, baby. This is our first fight. Don't be like that.
I'm not joking around. You knew what the deal was when you took it. You may not be my student, but you do take assignments. And if you can't do that, we'll shake hands and call it a day.
So you'd be willing to cut ties right here and now?
In a New York second.
What makes you think I won't toss that little grenade I have in you and Pat McGann?
Pearson was a show that was not planned. I did not leave Suits thinking that I was going to do Pearson, that we were going to, spin off and do that show. She came about a year after I had left the show. I called my agent and I said, this woman won't leave me alone. she's not going away. And I have an idea. For what she's doing and where we can find her. And then one thing led to another, and he called some people and I called some people, and they bit. Thank God they did. Because the one thing that I did miss about Jessica on Suits was she was kind of the least developed character. She was somebody that you counted on being there in terms of plot points and moving chess pieces around. She was great for that, but her personal story was so underwritten and so infuriatingly underwritten that when the opportunity came up to do this spin-off, I said, there's so many places we can go. There's so much history that we can now divulge that can fill hours, I thought, and also her ambition and how we can see the arc of what the 6 years on Suits, where that arc took her and moved her into what she wants to do now, and to further her love of law and social justice, which I also have to say kind of dovetailed into Gina Torres' own involvement.
Would I be a horrible guest if I skipped this course?
Too rich.
Too cruel.
Phyllis.
Jack.
First and worst sign of sociopathic behavior, cruelty to animals.
That doesn't apply in the kitchen?
I have no taste for animal cruelty, which is why I employ an ethical butcher.
An ethical butcher? Be kind to animals and then eat them.
I'm afraid I insist on it.
Hannibal was beautiful. I remember Lawrence Fishburne saying that he described it perfectly. It was elegant horror. That's how it felt. That's how it felt being on those sets. That's how when you see it, it's not even lit. It feels like it's painted, right? There are certain scenes just visually that look like they're hand painted, and it's sumptuous, and it's how Hannibal sees the world. It's how Hannibal sees the gore that we would in the real world believe to be disturbing, and it was still disturbing, but it was written and lit in such a way that it was seductively enticing and beautiful. So I remember that because I'd seen a few episodes prior to being on it. From an acting perspective, I got to play with two incredible actors. I got to be at that table or be in the therapist's office, right, with Lawrence Fishburne and Mads Mikkelsen. Now, this girl was super happy about that. And really the only thing that came up for Lawrence and I, who were married at the time, who had really shied away from working together and playing a married couple, because, for us, we always wanted to keep sort of like a distance. Like we were always very conscious about, well, we don't want the audience to think that, they're going home with the Fishburnes. we want the audience to forget all of that and just be with the characters that we're creating. The writing was so fantastic. The actors that I got to work with were so fantastic. And so that's always the begin. That's where you want to start. I mean, it just makes our work so much easier when you have such a supportive, capable, and talented team around you. Bella was a cancer victim. Can't say survivor because she didn't survive. And my mom had passed away from cancer. And so it was incredibly important for me to give Bella strength and dignity in her process. My brother was visiting set one day, and it was during one of those very difficult scenes that we were shooting. And I remember at the end of it, we had sort of finished, and he had tears in his eyes when I saw him, and he was like, and I've also heard from other cancer survivors that was the case, that I portrayed her with such strength and such dignity and such grace. And that's what it's about for me. That made me super happy.
Owen?
Hey, Tommy, we have a problem.
Did you miss your flight?
I wish. We're on the plane. We've lost an engine. The pilot has the airplane under control, but the passenger was injured with the cabin depressurizing.
Oh.
A different kind of America's sweetheart. Jumping onto a moving train, and in this case it's a moving freight train. It's going fast, there's a lot going on. 911 Lone Star was such an incredible blessing for me, because it was early on in the days of the pandemic when nobody knew what our industry was going to look like. So to be able to land a job on a hit show was great. Hearing that you're replacing somebody, that's never a whole lot of fun, because you're walking into a situation where someone was beloved, and you want them to love you too. You hope that they do, and all you can do is your best, right? But he was incredibly welcoming. The entire cast was incredibly welcoming to me. But of course, I got to show up and I got to do my thing. So I think that helped as well when I showed up and hit the ground running and didn't hold anybody up, and everyone was like, oh, she knows what show she's on. Okay, we're good. Here we go. That's what experience does. I really must say that my relationship with Rob on camera and off camera, it just kind of runs parallel to each other, right? The more you know about each other and how the other person works, and that you just want to have a good time and get it done and get it done beautifully, and then go home. We share that work ethic, which is great, and it's kind of a naughty, sick sense of humor as well. A lot of storytelling.